A true story in the form of a folk tale. Once there lived a man and a woman. Now the man, he had a strong jaw and a thick jet black mane of side-swept hair. The woman, she had big brown doe eyes and a slender waist. The man, he told stories, and the woman laughed. The woman, she sang songs, and the man cried. And this man and this woman, they enjoyed laughter and tears and all that was in between. And after a time, this man and this woman, they had a child. Now, this was the most magnificent child. If you asked them, they were sure to tell you that this child could hang the moon. In fact, this child was so magnificent that they had another. And a short time later, they had another. And truth be told, they would continue to have more, except that they were good and decent people. And they thought that someone else deserved to have magnificent children of their own. Now, this man and woman, they raised these children together. The man, he went off to work, and the woman, she stayed home tending to the chores and schooling the children, or you can reverse that if you'd rather. But as time went on, that entire family, why, they shared laughter and tears and all that was in between. And in a time that seemed like the skip of a heartbeat, those children were grown. And they went off to make their way into the world. They were now citizens, one and all. And the man and the woman, why, they still worked. The man, he went off during the days, and the woman, she tended to the home, or vice versa if you prefer. And the songs and the stories that they once told, they were but memories. And one night, as the man and woman lay sleeping, the songs and stories, feeling neglected and lost, they conspired to escape. The stories, why, they escaped from the man and they hid themselves in a cupboard. And the songs, they flew from the woman's mouth, and soon they too joined. And in that cupboard, they designed some mischief. The next day, the man went to work and the woman, she stayed home. But those songs, they transformed themselves into a pair of shoes. And the stories, they turned themselves into an old man's work coat. And then they made their way out to the front porch, and they waited. And when the man came home, he was confused, and he asked the woman, "Oh, what are these shoes? They are too big for my feet, and that coat, that is none that I would wear." And she was confused as well. She came out to the front porch, and she said, "I have no idea." And he grew suspicious, and she grew defensive, and their words got loud, and they got bitter, and the man, he stormed off to find a place to spend the night. The woman, she was puzzled and angry, and it took a long time before at last she realized the man was not coming home that night. And so she snuffed the flame of the lamp and went to bed. Meanwhile, the man, he found a spot in what looked like an abandoned cave, and he laid down for rest. Now, what that man and woman did not know was that each night, the lamp flames of the town, why, once they were snuffed, they gathered together to gossip. And each evening they held their meeting there at the mouth of that cave. Now, on this particular night, as the man was laying there in the shadows, there was a lamp flame, the lamp flame that had been in the woman's bedside table lamp. Why, it was late arriving to the meeting, and all the other flames, they were curious. "Oh, why are you so late? What is going on?" "Oh, the man and woman with whom I live, they quarreled. You see, there were strange man's shoes and a strange man's coat there on the front porch, when our man came home, and he grew quite angry. Well, of course he grew angry. Can you believe it? No, it's not as you think. You see, they had stories and songs which they neglected. And those stories and songs, they conspired to take revenge. They plotted. They became a coat and shoes. The man, unable to sleep, had heard all that the flames had discussed, and he leapt up from the cave. He ran home. He woke up his wife. He took her hand in his, and he said, "I'm sorry." And she said, "You are forgiven." And then he took his hand, and he took a single finger, and he ran it on her lips. And he said, "Please sing for me your song." And she opened her mouth, but the melody was lost. She took his hand and she said, "No matter, tell me your story." But the plots were gone. They lay there that night, hand in hand, arm in arm. And as the sun rose in the morning, they took a vow. They promised one another that from that day forward, they would write new stories together, and together they would pen new songs.